right, we'll get it rocking and rolling. Good morning, everybody. Today, we're talking about leads and lead generation. This is something we bring up at least once a year. Obviously, it's very important to our business, not only to continue and make your business duplicatable and repeatable, but if you want to grow your business, you got to incorporate some type of lead generation. Today, we're going to talk about that, what kind of are the best sources, get everybody's opinions, and maybe disprove some myths and thoughts out there. I know, there's a lot of different varying opinions about buying leads versus, getting leads via expireds for sale by owners, calling your past clients database, that sort of thing. So let's get into it. Uncle Tim, do you want to give us some of your thoughts to kick it off here?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head when you said there's a lot of different ways to get leads and a lot of different ways to work leads, and everybody has a different system. For instance, our system in the past was to call the for sale by owners and the expireds, our past customers, our centers of influence. We did very little just listed and just sold calls, and that's how we created our business. Now, we did at one time spend about $1,000 a month buying leads from Zillow. And then, to be quite honest, the major reason we changed from that was the way Zillow changed the delivery to us of those leads. It was a little more difficult. Instead of them emailing us the leads, you had to answer the phone call. And if you didn't answer the phone call at the moment that they were calling, the money that you're paying, you didn't get the lead. And there were times I was sitting in a football stadium with 100,000 people and the noise in the background, and the phone would ring and you'd see it's Zillow, and I couldn't answer it. And it would upset me because I would lose that lead, uh, by trying to answer at that point in time, where in the past, Realtor.com and Zillow would email you the lead and you would have time to work it. So there are people that enjoy working Zillow leads, and they profit very well from them. There's nothing wrong with them as long as you're going to spend your money, be willing to be available basically 24/7 when that lead comes in. So talking about Zillow leads, if we could, let's go to Kara. Kara, I know you work Zillow leads and you work them very efficiently, and make a lot more off of the Zillow leads than you spend. So how do you typically handle those type of leads that come in? Is that the same system that they're using where you have to answer it and then talk to the person live at that moment? Is that the way it's still working?
You're right. Yes, it was a change. I've done Zillow leads now probably for, I don't know, 6, 7 years. And it wasn't, I mean, now it is much faster pace. So every call that comes in, I try to, no matter where I am, I'll excuse myself typically and walk out if I'm at a restaurant, whatever, and answer the call. Try to talk to the person to make sure that they are a true prospect or candidate to purchase. And then once I qualify them, which can take anywhere from 10 to, I say qualify them in my, in my opinion, that they are a valid buyer, then that takes anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes, right? And that's right. And you're right. It's right in the middle of whatever you're doing. So you have to be able to do that and willing to do that if you're going to do that system. I know they also have a different type of leads that it's called, I believe, flex or something, where agents pay at the back end. I think that's the one that we all see in social media right now and in the news that has been so controversial. I'm not part of that. I've never done that one. It's where they take a percentage. So I just pay every month, and it is. I mean, it ranges anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 a month, that I'm spending on those type of leads. But truly, if you don't answer, if you're not going to commit to answering to that, and I qualify them before I send it out to or I try to, right? Before I send it out to the group. But once I have it, I send it out to the team, and see as a group text who wants to take it, kind of thing. And then right now, Ryan has been, because he's, one of the team members that's not, that he's getting himself up and running now. So he's not as busy and as established, of course, as the other team members. He'll pick them up, and he can tell you it's not an easy thing. I mean, you have to call them, text them different times sometimes, because they might have been hot that day that they spoke with me, and then all of a sudden, oh, there goes a squirrel, so they're on to something else. So he will call them and call them until basically they tell him not to.
Yeah, I agree. In my opinion on the old system, which I still think was better, was
Mm-hmm.
it's not McDonald's. They don't get their Happy Meal in 30 seconds or less. It
Right.
takes time to cultivate those leads, and it just unfortunately puts us in a position where sometimes we're not available to answer that call at that moment, but
Right.
we have to because we're spending all this money. We don't want to lose the money.
Right. As soon as I see that Zillow come up on my phone, I know it's money that I'm spending. So I feel like I have to do it. For myself, if I didn't have the team, I wouldn't do it, because I would just work. I mean, I don't typically take a Zillow or a realtor.com person around, because I have enough. I mean, my database has like 3,000 plus in it from the past 20 some years in real estate. So I would just work my sphere. And it does take a lot of time to cultivate these leads. Even the initial conversation, I think if you're doing it right, is, even if you're in the middle of a restaurant, it's 10 to 20 minutes.
Right. Yep. Okay. So that's one source of leads that you can work. Like I said, we were working a lot with the past or the Senate or excuse me, I'm sorry, the expired listings and the for sale by owners. Now I know Jim Penny, you're working those leads, and we're sending them out every day. If you're not working those leads, just remember the people that are expireds in Kong. I think you told me there were a lot of expireds here recently. How many did you see come out the other day?
Well, there were a lot of those homes to be built and stuff, but if you break it down, I sat there and I looked, and I even looked at the history, how some of them get relisted and whatnot, or they were um, withdrawn within 2 weeks or whatever, but these were like listed for the duration. There was probably 20 to 25 good ones in there. You only need one.
Right. And those people want to sell. So if you're looking for somebody that wants to buy or sell, call the expireds. If you're looking for somebody that wants to sell, call the for sale by owners. They want to sell. Fish where the fish are. We're sending them to you. There's probably not a whole lot of people that are calling them. So it would be my suggestion to pick up the phone and give them a call. As far as past clients go, past clients, centers of influence. Chris, you're on the call. If you welcome back to town. I know
Thank
you were
you.
with a couple of days. How do you typically handle your past client centers of influence database as far as staying in touch with them and working them on a consistent basis?
Um, we have a plan. So it kind of goes back to like Mike Ferry and knowing, did I just drop? I might have dropped.
No, you're still there.
Oh, okay. So it goes back sort of to that theory. Um, Postcards, I still think there's something to be said, even more so maybe now than there used to be, about postcards going out or something in the mail, newsletters, postcards. So there's mailings, phone calls, quarterly, and integrating some pop buys seasonally, and a client event party.
Okay, so you're typically handling it with the postcards and the client events and doing that stuff. It's very similar to the Brian Buffini system that's out there. With the Brian Buffini system, they call it an item of value that goes out every month Kathy, is it or Brooks, is it your top 100 or top 200 that get that?
Yeah, the program we're in, it goes out to the top 100, gets that mailed automatically to you. If you have more than 100 people, obviously, in your database, but these are your A plus kind of clients that you're sending that to. They still give you the PDF, so you're able to send that out email if you want to additional people in your database, but it again gives that item of value every month and a touch to them.
Hmm. So the Mike Ferry system and the Brian Buffini system are very similar with getting a number of touches to each one of your past clients and your centers of influence. 66% of our business came from our past clients and centers of influence when Poppy and I were working our database, which means the majority of our business came from working that system. I know in September, I think it's September 14th through the 18th, there's a number of us that are going to attend the Mike Ferry Superstar Retreat in Hollywood, Florida, near Miami, in between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. I think it actually starts the 15th through the 18th, but the bonus day is on the 14th. So if you're interested in going to a seminar that would be motivating to get you kick-started for the last quarter of the year and get you ready for the 2027 year, I would suggest looking into the Mike Ferry retreat again in Hollywood, Florida. I think the cost of the ticket right now is $350. There's direct flights on Allegiant from Harrisburg to um, Fort Lauderdale that are probably less than $100, and I'm sure there'll be a number of people that would bunk up or share rooms at the Diplomat Hotel there. So if you're thinking about doing that and attending that seminar, let us know, and we'll try to coordinate those people going to it. As far as uh, back to the Buffini system and the item of value, I know we're using that system. Joe Schutz is using that system. Morgan, are you using the item of value that goes out on a monthly basis with the Brian Buffini system? And could you take a minute or two and just tell us how you handle your past clients in a similar basis? How many touches a year are you sending out? How many parties are you holding? Those type of things.
So I'm sorry, I just joined in here. I was on a call. So
Okay.
I send out item of value mailers every month. So they get a email from me every month. They get a pop by from me at least once a year. My A plus pluses get at least two a year, and sometimes at Christmas as well. And my client events, they all get invited to my client events. So that would be at least twice a year plus Santa. So three times a year. I normally do like an ice cream social something, and I do talking breads. I've done this year. I'm doing a women's brunch, and then I'll do an ice cream social still, and then we still have the Santa stuff. So all they get invited to everything. Sometimes for the ice cream social, like if I have that in Perry County, I try to really heavily invite my Perry County people. And then if I do something like Talking Breads, I invite, the ones in Cumberland County more. And those are the ones that I'll actually call and follow up with and shoot a text reminder and all of that. My other ones get it in like my newsletter email, but yeah, I touch them multiple times a year. And I'm more random with people that if I'm in their area or drive by or see something that thinks about them, that's kind of my way of calling. Calling is my least favorite. So I love Popeyes. I love like sending all the things in the mail to them and doing that kind of stuff. But calling people, I feel it's kind of awkward unless I have like something to actually like connect with them. So then I go through my database at the end of the year, like when I'm getting ready to do all my Christmas stuff, and I look and I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to this person this year, or I haven't done as good a job following up with them, and I'll like do something extra for them at that point. Normally January is this month is my like people that I missed through Christmas and the holidays that now I'm following up with.
Unless you're calling a FSBO or an expired and you're following a script, when you're calling your past customers, it is a little bit more difficult because you don't know what to say to them. So like today's email, I think I sent out to everybody you have to make sure when you do make those calls that you're having meaningful conversations with them. Something, to find out how they are doing with their life and what their plans are and that type of thing. You can't just call them and say, I have a goal this year to sell 25 homes, and who do you know that wants to buy or sell in the next 30 days that I can talk to? Thank you, goodbye, and do the next one. You literally have to have a meaningful conversation and show some interest in them and their life, and then they'll when you do that, show that interest to them, they'll give it back to you too. And when they do that, you're then going to have a meaningful conversation, at which time at some point in the conversation you can then say, hey, if you hear of anybody, let me know. I'd be happy to help them, that type of thing. But it's a more of a softer approach by having a meaningful conversation.
Yeah, Tim, I would say too that social media, that's how I use social media a lot. I see, somebody passed away, somebody, and this may be people, these may not be my past clients, but people I've had relationships with for many years, that I may send. I use Spoonful of Comfort, which is a soup delivery system that if somebody has something like a medical thing or somebody passed away, it's easy for me just to send that, and it seems to be really well received of somebody that, and that's my way that of following up with them. Like, I'm so sorry to hear of so and so passing, or that you had surgery. One of my clients just had a lung or a kidney transplant 2 weeks ago, and I dropped a meal off at their house, and then like we were chatting. But that social media is the way I use to like have those conversations. And something that actually happened to me this week is I had a call from a woman. I didn't know her. She was an Amish lady, and I didn't know her at all. And she's like, "Oh, you may know my husband." And she said her husband's name. And I was like, "I do know her husband. He bought a property for me. And I'm not actually sure if I had the property listed, but I managed it in rentals over 20 years ago. It was almost 20 years ago. It was when he got it and I started working with him. It was one of my first ones. And he was like short lived because they bought the house, they rented it out. I managed it for maybe a year, and then he moved into it, and him and his wife lived there still. And so I'd never met her. I think he was a single guy when he bought it. And so I went back to my files and my database and was able to see like some of the stuff that happened. And when I called back about the property they were talking about, I talked to the husband, he had answered, and I was like, "Oh yeah, so how's this and that?" And I like said stuff to him. He goes, "Wow, you remember all that?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, of course." Totally didn't remember all that. It was in my database. And he
Right.
was like blown away. He's like, "Morgan, that's been 20 years." And I was like, "Yeah, it's a long time. You were probably one of my first ones." And we had a chat, and he was just kind of, I think he was like so shocked that I had all that. But that's why I keep my stuff in my files and database. And that was actually prior to me having my referral maker, but I still have the files, the digital files. So I was able to go back.
Yep. Good. Keith, can you unmute yourself a second?
Good morning.
Good morning. No camera, but we got you voice wise.
Oh, I'll turn my
Morgan,
camera on if you want to see me. I don't
oh yeah,
mind.
we want to see you. Morgan brought up about social media, and I know you that's kind of your specialty as to a completely different approach than what we've talked about so far this morning with social media and the posts that you have that generate the leads that go into your automated system. Could you talk a little bit about, I think you work the Ninja system or something
Yeah,
similar?
which is all very similar to everything that we've been talking about, but um, the difference is, I think what you said about calling. So having a reason to call, and I think that what I found with the Ninja system, it's got a 5-step calling process that doesn't matter why you call them, um, but it works really well. And we're talking about leads, and my mind just keeps going back to like dating, which is really weird. Um, and you can find leads or dates online. You can find them from people that you know. Um, it all depends on what you're comfortable with, but what I'm really comfortable with is the relationship building. So, I think we talked about mailers, and you said you were asking about my automated system, but I get more business out of relationships, obviously, and um, that automated system is good for new leads, but it's also very good for the people that I've worked with and being able to see what they're interacting with on the website, um, and then being able to call and talk to them about it. I don't know. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, sort of. The your automated system though is pretty slick. I mean, you have
It
thousands
is.
of people in there that you've captured leads over the year, and then it sends out emails, I think, to them until they warm up. And when they warm up is when you call them, and you're getting a certain percentage of your business from that system alone. But um,
Yeah, it's like the spider web, you know. It's just something to get them kind of in the area where I can go feed off of them, to use a very um, very I don't know, weird
mhm,
analogy. But you know, the thing is, in that 20-minute conversation that, you know, the Zillow lead, that's what I want to avoid. I don't want to have to meet somebody new, going back to the dating thing, when I'm out having fun with my friends or my family, or doing something, or walking the dog, whatever it is. I don't want to have to pick up the phone, and that automated system builds that beginning of that relationship. Um, and you know, the people that I do know, it also, they're like, wow, you're always sending me stuff, and you're in contact with me, always let me know what's going on. And I think without the phone calls, that um, kind of falls through with the people that are in my sphere.
okay, Mr. Hubler, you have built a great business or duplicatable business over the years with repeat and referral business from a lot of the companies that you work with that and you've had to work hard to get that business. You continue to go to seminars to educate yourself and expose yourself to these companies. What else are you doing to try to generate more leads for your team?
Well, I mean, I'm also on LinkedIn. I pay for like the premium site. So it's basically like a professional Facebook aspect of it. And then so commenting on there, it's better than like a personal um account, I guess you would say. But you know that some of these companies they're doing fundraisers and so on and so forth. So last year, I got a call before one of these fundraising golf outings from somebody I know, and they said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Nothing. Why?" And they go, "What are you doing next week?" And I'm like, "Okay, why? What's going on?" And they said, "You're coming with us to Dallas. We're going to one of the company's golf outings, and we were able to do about five good meetups at that event. So it's just networking with other people that I know doing what I do across the country that brings you into companies and putting you in front of people that you're not working with, or you could be working with them, and it's just solidifying so when something comes into your area, that they see your name and automatically when they have a choice of say like five people that you come to the top because they see your name. So it's just being invested, seeing what these companies are interested in and trying to gain an interest on their fundraisers or whatever that they're doing. Because I know that Matt and we've been donating blood over at our VFW, and you know, we just put a thing out there about saving lives and stuff, about taking the time and donating blood, and that's gotten a good response. You have a good response on that too, right? So it's just showing that it's just in general that it's you know, just finding little things. But you know, we have my annual party every year, and we try to send out information to the clients whenever we can, and just helping some people. And hopefully good karma comes back to us with some referrals.
You're getting ready to head to the Remax R4 conference here soon?
Yes, it's we'll be leaving 2 weeks from Friday, and then I actually have one of another conference that's down in Palm Springs right after the R4. So I'll be gone for a while.
Okay. So you're heading out to this conference. What is your objective at this conference? For instance, is it just to have fun and go away and write off the trip? Or are you going to meet up with people to build a referral basis with meeting these people and educate yourself going to certain classes? Tell me what your objective is going to the
It more so I would say is the networking aspect. Because I mean, last year I think we got like 2 referrals from talking with people at R4. There's one that's in incubation right now that we should be hearing from. I think the people will actually probably be reaching out to us in June, speaking with the agent, but just connecting and networking with some of the agents. It's I think is going to be big, and also picking up a couple classes on something that we might be interested in. Yeah, the fun comes with it, but that's not the reason why we're going there, just to have fun. If you wanted to have fun, then just go take a vacation. But far as the aspect of the networking and a little bit of education and that, because we have, I think I am signed up for about 3 different meetups with some agents that are getting together. So it just, you never know where the next referral will come from, but just talking to different people and going to R4, because one individual, she said last week that she gave somebody her last name is Vodka, so she would use the little airplane bottles of vodka, and she was handing those out with her information on there. And she said she got a referral from somebody that she gave this bottle to 2 years ago. And the first person they thought of for that location was her. So, that was her claim to fame, was getting those little vodka bottles, because they thought of her first. So
Mhm.
it's just little quirky things on what can set you apart from somebody else, so that they think of you first. So it just that's part of the the process of the networking is.
And who knows what area she was from? Her average commission could have been $10,000 or more. You
San
know,
Diego, so it's gonna be big.
I was just
yeah.
gonna say, I actually had one of her vodka bottles, and I know exactly who you're talking about. So that
Yep.
just shows you we're both in the same office and how we know
Yep.
this. But she says that every time she's around, but I definitely have met her and have her in my database. So that's funny.
Yep.
Tim,
Yeah.
so one of the things that when I coach agents, I've mentioned to some agents to do, especially when agents talk about farming, right? We hear that term farming. And I think one of the best ways to farm an area is using the Bright public record system. So if you go into Bright and draw a little circle around your farming area, or just click into the township you want to focus in, or borough or municipality, and try to look for owners who have owned their houses for over 25 years, maybe even 30 years. And you'd be shocked at how many people still are the owners after 30 some years of a property. And guess what? They probably don't have the realtor anymore that they bought that house from, right? That realtor probably has retired or has never kept up in contact with them. They probably don't know much about the market other than what their neighbors' houses are selling for. I would absolutely reach out to those people. And if you ever need help figuring out how to look that up on Bright, just call me and I'll walk you through it. But the 40 or 50 people on that list, you just got to keep nurturing them because eventually they're going to sell. And the fact that they probably don't know any other realtors and you're willing to talk to them, keep them in the loop on the market, once they are ready to sell, guess who they'll call? You. Okay. So that's another untapped area that is widely available and it's free. It's on Bright. We pay a subscription every month. So use it to your benefit.
Kong, I'm sorry, but when you said who they're going to call, the first thing that went into my mind was Ghostbusters. Shows you how old we are. Natalie probably never saw that movie.
Just the remake.
Hey, that is Q's favorite movie right now, and the neighbor kid and Q have watched all of them, and that's all he walks around doing. So Natalie might have seen it.
Who are
Yeah.
you going to call? Ghostbusters.
Natalie,
So anyways,
have you seen it?
just an idea. So if you need help with that, just let me
Yes, I've
know.
seen
But the Bright system is so robust and you can use it in so many ways. It's not just looking up new listing and printing out an MLS sheet of a house you're going to show. It's you can do a lot of research on that thing.
Chris, if you don't mind jumping back on and unmuting again, I want to ask you a quick question, made me think. Coming from the management side of a big, large company that you came from, what would their opinion be towards agents as far as how to find leads? What's their perspective from another company?
That's a good question. It it actually was something that was interesting after the way I grew up or was raised initially in real estate with, the Mike Ferry and understanding that it's it's rarely really talked about how to really get the business and more talked about what to do when you get the business and you're in the transaction. So that is why I would actually guess that the average number of sales per agent in a lot of the bigger corporations is the theory is a lot of agents in the office and expect agents to do less than 4 transactions a year.
So those companies, I would guess some of their perspective would be not like you're saying on how to get the new business, but how to service it and service it after the sale so you get it back a second time. Which
That
goes back
second,
to what
that
Morgan was saying about having those notes in the database and remembering those conversations helps you have more meaningful conversations with your previous client.
I would even say the second component of really building the idea that you're putting people in your database as lifelong agents or lifelong clients is not always talked about. With that said, one of the things that has been discussed is how to nurture them with like home equity reports. Like that was the big discussion of continuing to try to bring people value after the sale. The simple reminder of, that, we all go to like the dentist twice a year, you get an annual checkup, that we should be seen as professionals and professionals would revisit their clients and offer like the value of their home. So I do think that's one good takeaway. And then social media, a lot of discussions about making sure. But again, I think people forget that social media is really mostly just touching your existing clients. It's still a COI or an SOI activity because your social media is generally your friends.
I don't know whether or not you or Morgan want to comment on this, and I see Jim Penny has a question, but what is the object that people or agents should be, what's the object that they should be trying to get out with social media? Because it's not that they're going to buy that listing that you just posted. most people that are shopping for a house are going to shop on Zillow or one of the major corporations' websites or realtor.com. So what is the objective of the social media? Morgan, could you answer that as far as um, is it just recognition of, hey, I'm in the business, I'm a professional, think of me when you're top of mind, or,
So
maybe Natalie
my
could.
point of social media is to stay connected and just be another spot. So I use this, and I think I said this to you Tim, a couple weeks ago. It doesn't matter if you stop by, if you like walking by and knocking on people's doors. If you walk or knock the same neighborhood every month, this letter, you're top of mind. It's the same thing to me as like being top of mind on social media. They see me, but I also am not just out there blasting like, here's my house for sale, here's my house for sale, because people unfollow that and that's not going to come up in the algorithm. So it has to be like meaningful things to them. I truly use social media as my easy way of like, it's so at my fingertips. If I see it's somebody's birthday, it's easy to send them a note if it's not somebody that's in my database that I've mailed a card to. It's easy for me to like comment on something that somebody's doing. Yesterday, I wrote a message to a girl that I went to high school with who looks phenomenal. And I said, hey, Charles, it's so great to see you and the boys. I love that you're working at the school now. You look awesome, by the way. And like she came back with like, thanks, but she was a past client of mine years ago, but we just like, we're chatting. And, I use it that way just to stay in contact, but I don't love just posting houses, and I don't post a lot of houses, but I like to mix in my community. Supporting local is really important to me. So I like to throw in some stuff like that. But, I use Q is in there a lot. If you ask Quillam, he's the face of my company and he deserves to be paid for that. So, um, I just mix everything in and just be really relatable to people so that they want to see what I'm doing and that I can continue to see what they're doing and then I acknowledge what they're doing. Same thing with like card follow up. I like to write cards. I like to send handwritten cards to people. I think it's a really meaningful way that's really easy to get a lot of touch. And people seem to keep those and hang on to those or hang them up. So like writing a card to somebody after I see something good on social media is, just a way of staying in front of them. So I use it as an easy tool for me to be in front of them.
Natalie, would you agree with all that? You just graduated and have a college degree in social media. What were they saying the objective is of a business to be on social media, or a business kind of like ours? What would your opinion be? Similar to what Morgan just said, or?
Yeah, just from the short amount of time I've been um, posting just like this is a house that we have for sale doesn't get many views, but posting who we are as a company and posting the people in our company, that gets the most engagement, the most views, not, oh, look at this house. That doesn't ever get anything, but maybe the more like videos and things like that is what gets us the most engagement in our videos.
And is it for top of mind? Is that the objective that they would tell you?
Yeah, it's to put your company out there, not just what they're doing, but kind of who they are and who they employ and everything like that, not just what they're doing.
Okay. So if agents wanted to meet with you one-on-one and do some videos of something, that might be something that they would want to engage in if they're not comfortable doing it themselves.
Yes, definitely.
So they should call you and schedule time with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Brooks, anything else you'd like to add to lead generation and ways of obtaining leads that maybe we didn't talk about from your perspective? And then we'll get to Jim Penny. Again, your perspective might be different than what Poppy and I had in our perspective of our time of generating leads. What's the perspective of the people that are your age on receiving these phone calls or text messages, and what forms of communication do you think are best to lead generate with people that are in their 30s and 40s versus 50s and 60s?
Well, I would say that my perspective, generally speaking, probably doesn't align with most people in my age group or that demographic. I've got a more old school approach. I absolutely kind of despise social media in a lot of different ways, and I rarely ever post on social media. I get tagged in a lot of stuff from my large family and then office related stuff. So I do get exposure, I guess, on social media from adjacent, people tagging me and stuff. But my opinion is like you need a decent mix of lead generation. And if you don't have the money to spend, your main source should be your past clients, centers of influence, for sale by owners, expireds. That sort of activity doesn't cost you any money. We provide you the lists of the expireds, the for sale by owners. It's free to you. You just have to call them. And like Kong said, all you need is one to make it a really success, a big success. So start there. As you get money and you're able to spend that money, maybe incorporate some of the Zillow Realtor leads, Realtor.com leads, and have that mixed in with your business. But right off the bat, it's kind of hard to justify spending that money for the lower kind of conversion ratio on those. To me, my opinions, use the free method and convert those.
Mhm. Yeah, if you're going to spend the money to purchase the leads, you got to be willing to work them, and
Mhm.
and you got to work them hard, because if you don't answer that call, your money's out the door. So, I mean, we used to make a lot of money off of Zillow. I mean, a lot of money. I just couldn't take the new system. It didn't work for me, um, because it frustrated me having to be available. But if you are available and can answer that call, you can still make a lot of money doing that system.
One quick question on those, Kara. I don't know if you can help answer that or anybody who pays for Zillow leads. Does Zillow call in with those leads on the same number every time? Just because I know sometimes for me it's hard to balance the work family life, and sometimes in those settings, everybody gets a ton of spam calls these days. Luckily, most phones kind of designate what's a spam number, but sometimes they're local numbers now, and as a realtor, you feel like you gotta answer every call because if you don't, you're missing out on something. So I just was curious if Zillow called in from a specific number that you could know, hey, this is one I absolutely have to pick up.
On mine, the program that I have, they do. It's always the same number, so I have it programmed where it comes up on my phone as Zillow. Now, the program that I am in, however, they're not only calling me, they're calling at least one other agent and possibly more. That's why it's almost like, like you're
Yeah.
paying, you
You
you pick
have
it up
to.
like, hello, and then take it to where I can have that conversation.
So it's a Shark Tank where they're ringing three people at one time. Whoever
Right,
answers first
right.
wins.
And my rep there, now I don't communicate with them often. In fact, it's been quite some time. But they told me that if you do not get that, like they said, Kara, if you do not get this call, once you even talk with them and make them feel all happy, if you do not have one of your agents call them and handle them right within 4 minutes, 4 minutes, it's a waste. 4 minutes.
That's quick.
It's
You
quick.
mean,
It's like everybody wants everything like that.
right, the
Yeah.
Happy Meal concept, I call it.
Yeah.
Happy meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're going to buy a house in 4 minutes too.
Exactly. Yeah, but yet they're so impatient because I think, I guess, you know what? I blame it on social media,
Yeah.
right? Everything's fast. I mean, if we want to know an answer, we don't we don't go to an encyclopedia and look it up. We ask Google, right?
So what happens if you're not accepting that call and somebody gets it ahead of you each month? Are you guaranteed a certain amount of leads or no?
No, no, not in the way that mine is set up. No,
Okay.
no.
All
Yeah,
right.
because I missed it.
Now, if are there ways that you can just have them ring one person? I mean, can you pay extra for that?
What do you mean, ring one person?
where they're not calling three different agents at the same time?
Oh, yes, yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's a lot more money to do it that way. And I'm just so accustomed to picking up my phone
quickly, yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
For the most part. Now I'm going to say I'm getting better at that, where I put it down certain hours and I don't. And I say, and then I pick it up and I go, it's still like I missed a Zillow.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim Penny, you had a question.
Yeah, I just had a question about social media and I guess to Morgan and some of the other people that use it regularly. Are you in the practice of friending your clients once you close a deal and and you go to settlement? Do you stay in touch with them that way, or I've debated whether or not to do that, and I can see pros and cons to that. So I was curious. Or
Yeah,
anyone else.
I
I'll
friend,
answer for
I
my.
friend
Uh,
everybody. Oh,
oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Keith.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Morgan.
Okay. I don't friend request everybody. So I use social media as like a relationships. And so some of my clients like friend request me, they'll find me on there, they'll see my stuff. And sometimes it happens almost immediately. Like the first time I talk to them on the phone, I'll get a friend request from them right afterwards. And sometimes it's like months later, sometimes it's right at closing, or sometimes it'll pop up and I'll see them and it says like a friend, somebody you may want to follow, and I'll follow them. But if it's like a distant person or somebody that I wasn't as close with or that kind of thing, I let them find me and I don't really go looking for them. Um, I will say when I take a trip or I go away, like my Africa trip was a big trip, and I did it also on my voicemail that if you want to follow along on my journey and you want to see what we're up to follow me on Instagram. And I used Africa because I had so many people say, like, send me pictures while you're in Africa, that I uploaded stories and then I saved them as a highlight reel so that people can go back and watch them. And I will tell you, that's probably the first conversation starter with every single person I run into right now. So if they didn't follow me and they wanted to see that, they'll go and see that. But no, I don't like go out of my way to say like, oh, I'm looking for this person. I know people that stalk the people on Facebook before they go meet them in person. And I kind of forget about having that opportunity to even do that. But it's just like relationships to me. So if I build a really close relationship with somebody, I might become closer with them on Facebook than others. There's clients that I've had last year that I'm friends with on Facebook that comment on everything and share stuff and tag me and do all these things. And there's ones that I'm not friends with at all. And maybe they don't have social media. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's
And
kind of
Jim,
what I've done. There's been a few that have friended me. The other question I had real quick was just, we all have our own personalities. People that know me, I have a sense of humor, so I like to share humorous things on there. And I found that I've connected with a lot of my clients that way. Now, granted, not everybody has a sense of humor, and that's a shame to go through life that way. But I like to laugh a little bit with people, and for the most part, I think it's beneficial.
So
So I'm curious
I,
about, you know,
yeah, I would say that to you. I would say that if I think of Jim Penny, and I've had this conversation with other realtors, if I say, oh, Jim Penny, and they're like, oh my gosh, he is hilarious on Facebook. Like that is your brand. Like that is who you are. And if somebody doesn't connect with you that way, then they're probably not your client. Like
right.
that's who you are. And to know you, I wouldn't know that about you except that I'm friends with you on Facebook. And so I'm like, it builds that connection. And I think you're 100% on that. People probably connect with you more because they're like, Jim Penny is hilarious. And like, that's what people say about you. That's probably the first line. So I think that it is a good tool that way.
Okay. So you don't see it as a detriment then? Okay. Thank
Steve,
you very much.
I see you smiling, Steve Voorhees. You've connected with a lot of people over the years with your "Where Am I" um, pictures and your birds and some of those things. How has that helped you with social media and your connection to engage somebody into a conversation with when you would post the pictures of kind of like "Where am I" type thing?
Sure. So I kind of same along the same lines of what Morgan was saying. My social media, I have two things. I have a Steve Voorhees Realtor Facebook page, and then I have like my personal one. But I get most of my from the two of those, most of the business I get is from the personal one because one, I'm not talking politics. I'm just trying to be funny or insightful about things that I like. And if people like that and they like me, they're possibly going to about me when it comes time to real estate. And once in a while, I sprinkle real estate in there. It's just kind of the way I do it. I call it the Columbo way to do things. If you're old enough to watch that show, he used to turn around and say, "Hey," that's just kind of the way I do it. Um, and I will say this, going back to getting leads, one of the things I like to do, if I could just add this, is that businesses, I love talking to other people that own businesses. I found that, and kind of going back to Morgan a few months ago, mentioned how she gives people gifts if they just call her and say, "Hey, Joe wants to buy a house." Even if they don't buy a house, she gets them something. Well, I like to give other business owners, give them business. If you do that, you're going to get business from them. So find an electrician you like, a contractor, a painter, give them business consistently if they're good. Ask for business a little bit, but if you give them business, you're going to get it back.
Thank you for adding to that, Steve. That's great advice. Okay, well, I think we've explored leads and where we get them from and how we can work them this week. If anybody has an idea of a future topic, I'd appreciate it if you could send either Brooks, Kong, or I a text message or an email of something that we could talk about like this, because I think we all learn more when we mastermind together. So let's make it a great day. Like I say in my emails, you know what to do. Let's go to work.